Shalom. So today we'll be talking about toy boys, right? A lot of us have many experiences, but because we are deceived by our own egos, we never really get to see things for what they are. And we're just playing a game without realizing that it's a game, and also we are being played in the same game that we think we are playing, right? So we're gonna look at some experiences when it comes down to this topic, right? And for me personally, um, picking up a lot of girls, just living life, doing whatever I want to do, right? Because of this, I was not seeing reality for what it really is. Because the thing with the ego is it pushes a narrative. It pushes its own narrative, and once you start to believe in this, this is when you get deceived, right? Following the stories that the ego generates, the ego creates for the experiences, right? So you're there out there picking up a lot of girls, just having sex and whatever, and then because we think no, the story that we attach to it is that, oh, we're players, we got game, right? Not realizing that it is the actual players that are being played, right? Because these women are out there already with that intention, right? So some of them will do things like they maybe drop something for you to pick up. They just put themselves in your way for you to make the move. Then it seems as if I am the one doing this, right? When no, she wanted to have sex with you from the moment she laid eyes on you. But guess what? She's not gonna come and say, "Okay, I wanna have sex with you." So she will show signs, right? Signs. She maybe look at you a certain way, or get close to you just to be in your view, right? Or something like that. And then you start making these moves, and then you think, "Oh, I got game." No, this is just the story of the ego. That was already her intention, right? So a lot of these women are out there doing these things, and also some of these women are not even aware that they're putting themselves that in the way of a man to be seen, right? Or in the way of men to be seen of them, so that the men can make their moves, right? So a lot of this happens, and we keep falling for it because of our desires when it comes down to this sex. And because at the end of the day, that's the ultimate goal, this sex, nothing else, right? So what happens is once we keep doing that, then it becomes a tendency. So, and this is why it keeps us from even wanting to have relationships, like actual relationships, commitment, and so forth, right? Because this pleases the ego so much, and then you continue repeating it, so it becomes cyclical. It's a cycle, right? Now, different types of girls, right? So this is like say with single girls. Now, when it comes down to women who are already in relationships, guess what? This can no longer this cannot discern, right? Because first thing is gonna push its narrative, so it's now gonna create a story. What is the story that we tell ourselves when we go with another man's woman? Oh, uh, he's stupid. I'm sleeping with his woman, and stuff like that. And also, women, they contribute a lot in this sense, meaning when they want to do this, first thing they do, what is the first thing that they do? The first thing they do is start telling the man stories about her man. And because of the ego, we cannot see the manipulation right there, right? Because if you're going to do something, you don't need to speak bad about another person. That's the first sign that we should look at as men. But the ego does not permit that. However, we listen to their stories, and then we where we tell the stories that we tell ourselves here, we are so convinced that the man is stupid, the man is foolish, or whatever thing we form about the man, because we believe the story that she is saying about the man, and also what our ego is telling. So now it's so intense that we deceive ourselves, right? So we happen to forget principles, maybe some of us never had principles to protect or prevent a lot of things from happening, right? Now, another case scenario, some women are very mischievous, right? What you have to understand is that for some women, when they're single or when they're by themselves or whatever, they can be very good people, right? They can be very good individuals. Let's put it that way. When it becomes where there's a chance of taking a risk subconsciously, this is automatic for a lot of women, right? For example, a young girl, if she's in the home or whatever, and without the parents, she will be on her best behavior. The mother is there. That's the time she wants to do silly things when other guys are around. It's no different from when you're grown and you get into a relationship. The only thing changes is not your parent this time, it's your partner. What happens is that when she's single, she'll be a good girl. She'll protect herself. She'll protect everything about her, right? When she gets into that relationship, the risk is what she wants to take, right? So now she will make a lot of foolish attempts, right? She'll do a lot of things that are tempting to other men because this is a subconscious thing. It's not a conscious thing, even though they're doing it physically, right? So if the man does not have a certain standard or is not uh, beyond the ego, we always will fall for this thing. So we're continue being that, we're always being that toy boy, right? And that never changes, right? So this is it for these type of women that us as men we keep falling for, because the ultimate goal is always about the sex. Nothing else. This is why most times after this is finished and you get that release, usually we come back to our senses, and kind of reflect on some of these things, and then we'll see what makes sense, what does make sense. But then, whether we have a feeling of guilt or anything, what happens is that because this is so powerful, you cannot even change, right? It's just automatic, so automatic that you think you can't even do anything about it, right? So there's no need to even try. Good. So another case now, right? When it comes down to jealousy, women some women will want to make their partner jealous, because sometimes they think that's a way of proving that the man cares for them. So you'll find a lot of this, right? Person A and B are together, right? C is the target, right? So person A, the female, wants to make person B jealous. What she does, go to person X, person X not realizing that he's just being used to provoke this man to jealousy, right? And guess what? We fell for it. We always do. Women know this. This is why this cycle always continue, right? So even though some men might evolve, but then there are always new recruits, right? Because they don't have this understanding. They're not able to go beyond this to see reality for what it is, absent the stories that we give to reality, right? So a lot of women do this. it also happens on the other side, but I'm just dealing with this for now, right? So the woman will want to make her man jealous. She starts to provoke him to jealousy by using another man. And when those men are of low standards, are, just very full of the ego, very arrogant, and so forth, this cycle will always continue, right? No, how do you go beyond that? When you start to step outside your ego, when you start to step outside of your stories, now you start to see reality for what it is, and you become conscious. You become conscious of what your experiences, absent your stories, right? So once you can put down your stories, as the scripture said, subdue your own understanding, subdue your own narrative, right? Once you can put it down, now you're able to witness the experience for what it is. Now you're able to step back, right? So from here, you will realize that, oh, all those girls you laid with, you weren't the one who wanted to do it. Those women wanted to do it with you, and you think, because of this, you think that, oh, I did this, I did that. No, the ego is the false I, the I that should be here, the one that is aware of what's happening. This ego takes that identity and claim it as its own. No, this becomes the I, right? So when it comes down to possessing something, our desires, the ego takes control of that, right? So what happens now when you're over on this side, you find out that these things were never your will in the first place. It was always the will of the ego. It was always the will of the flesh, carnal thoughts, right? So when you become conscious of this, now you have what? You have certain things to protect, like your moral principles and standards. Right? So all of this come under one word, is your image. He created you in a certain image, and of course this is an invisible image, right? Because this come under your moral, your principles, your standards, your values, all of these things. Let me add that one in there. Your values, right? So if certain things are against your principles, against your values, guess what? You are not going to partake in it. No, you can consciously choose not to. And that is called free will, right? Knowledge is free will. So you'll see that, oh, this woman comes to you, but she has a man. No, right? This person here, the being, will not partake in the activity. You can now pull away. You can now say, no, I am here, that is over there, and you separate. You make a separation right there. So this is how we fix this, to discontinue that cycle of, same thing that used to happen in slavery. That's the way they used to deal with us, where they, the sex and all of that. It's the same thing we are continuing for them, right? So either way, we are still supporting the beast, both man and woman, until we can come to this understanding that it is all an illusion, right? Things are not always the way they appear to be, but from the ego, it will give a certain appearance, and each time we believe in it, that's when we get deceived. So in order to fix that, we just need to step away from the ego and come over to this side, and then we will see this for what it is, and not from this standpoint where we see this for what we want it to be, or for how we want to feel